Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Mike Pixley, and welcome to the Bonsai PopCast. This is the first episode ever, except for the one that we already recorded that was bad.
Yeah.
And that's
great.
That's your other host, Tyler, right there.
Hello.
Together we are Bonsai Pop, which is a YouTube channel on, obviously, YouTube, that covers anime. Usually what we do is we deep dive into a series and kind of break it down either like culturally or sociologically, historically, etc., etc.
Emotionally, who knows? It just depends on what we're talking about that week.
Exactly. So that's what we do. That's our full-time job. We are supported by our lovely patrons, which if you want to check out the Patreon, I would definitely recommend doing that. It is the best community on the web. And even if you're not like a total weeb and you just enjoy this podcast, they are legitimately some of the best people I've ever met in my entire life.
Completely agree. And it really makes the Bonsai Pop experience. You know, it used to be that having a YouTube channel was just the channel and the videos that you put out, and we didn't really like that. And we've really made it more about the community that we're building on there than anything else. Like the videos are just one aspect of what we do. And
that brings us into like the other part of this is like, you know, like how we got here, why we're doing this podcast, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, legitimately, the reason that we're doing this podcast is because we want to be able to talk to the people that watch our videos more. We want to be able to, you know, reach out to them in a different kind of way that isn't so formatted and scripted and written down.
Yeah.
But also, it's just a good way for Tyler and I to sit down and have a conversation once a week about whatever the fuck we want. So
we're very lonely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, between COVID-19 and the fact that both of us live on opposite coasts. I live in Massachusetts. Tyler's over in Oregon. We don't get to spend enough time together, so this is a really good way.
Especially not this year because we can't go anywhere. Like there's no conventions for us to go hang out at. Like there's nothing that we can do together. So yeah, this is it, man.
It's been rough, and it's the same way for you guys, I would imagine. Which we thought this would be another fun way to kind of give people a opportunity to just be a part of a discussion, hanging out with your friends, you know?
Yeah.
So like you were saying, Tyler, YouTube is done a couple different ways, and we used to do it a different way. And that's because Bonsai Pop is not our first rodeo.
No.
Yeah.
Not even close.
I mean, how long have we been working on YouTube? I mean, you started what?
I've been working on YouTube for 6 going on 7 years now, I think.
Okay, so since
dude, I'm like old guard now. You know, yeah. I'm getting there. Yeah. One of those people who's like, yeah, I've been around back in the day when the hay penny was worth its weight in gold. You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been around for a hot minute somehow. It doesn't feel like it. I still feel like I'm a newbie at literally everything we do.
Well, it's because YouTube changes every fucking 2 seconds.
Yeah. That's because every other month YouTube's like, ha, you know that thing you were doing? Fuck that.
It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah,
and it never will again. So
yeah. Good luck with that format or whatever you were doing.
Change or die.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Mike and I both started on a channel called Treesicle, which you may have heard of and then forgotten about.
Well, that's how we met.
What was that?
I said that's how we met, but yeah.
Yeah, that's how we met. I'm one of the co-founders of Treesicle, along with Ryan and Grant, who were the lead hosts on the channel, and Kevin too, although he quit pretty early on. And Mike reached out to Grant for some advice on his own smaller channel, and instead of doing that, we were like, hey, why don't you work with us instead?
Yeah. So I did a video for them. I mean, I had been like, I had my own channel where I did game content. You know, I did reviews and I mean, Let's Plays, all sorts of stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to make
You're content. Doing a little bit of everything, man.
Yeah. And like my editing had gotten pretty good, and I'd got some attention from other people. The first person to ever really give me a chance was this girl named PopCast, who is now married, I believe,
Yes.
to Alex Faciani, who is the completionist's best friend. So, you know, me and that one video gamer kind of go back pretty far. And it was really cool. I got to do a panel with Gerard this year at PAX, which was really cool. Him and my good buddy Derek from She Says does Boundary Break and Beta 64. And that was really cool. That was like
I thought Arlo was on that panel too.
Arlo was on that panel.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, Jack. I forgot. My bad.
Sorry, Jack.
We spent
How
the
can
whole
we forget
weekend
our favorite
together.
blue monster?
We slept in the house together. Wow, I'm an asshole. Anyway, we'll have Arlo on here eventually. That'd be great. I would love that.
That'd be awesome. Jack's great.
Yes, and that is the plan. Like we're gonna do a bunch of episodes together, and then eventually we're gonna start bringing on our friends and just having conversations with them about whatever. So I'm hoping that we'll be looking forward to Boundary Break, Ant Dude, definitely Shane from Re-Res. I love Shane, and I would love to have him on. And a bunch of other people. Who knows? Maybe I can even pull Scott the Waz in here. That would be. Really
that'd
funny.
be awesome. And like, you know, some of our more anime centric friends too. Like it would be sweet if we get Isla on. That would be really neat.
I would love to listen to Isla. I would just let her talk.
We'll just
the
let her
entire
talk.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be amazing. And I mean, Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah.
Glass Reflection would be really nice. Like that all that stuff would be cool. I mean, hell, maybe we could even get Eye Patch Wolf on here.
That'd be great if John was willing to come on.
Yeah, I'd
Who
listen
knows?
to him talk
That's all
too.
future stuff. This is episode 1.
Yeah, exactly. So I had my own personal channel. I like thinking back on it, if I had corrected course, I probably could have gone somewhere with that. I was just like, I was in this like mixed up place where I was working on Treeskull, and the videos that I was putting out there were getting, 200,000 views, and then I'd put a video out on my channel and get 700. But what I didn't realize is that I was like, I had 2,500 subscribers, like 700 views.
You were doing
really
pretty
good.
well.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought, I was like, oh, this channel's fucked. I'm never gonna go anywhere.
That's what I keep telling my girlfriend, who's working on some anime videos in her free time, is, her video, she has 200 subscribers or something like that, and one of her videos has 400 views, and I'm like, that's good for the size of your channel.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, it's horrible, it's trash, I should take it down. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. That's really, really good.
Yeah, it's super good. Like, and that's the thing is, YouTube is a journey, it's a process, and if you're starting from scratch, it's gonna take a while. Like,
it's gonna take a hot minute,
and it's gonna take a lot of like stupid work. I mean, I've told this story many times, but when I started YouTube, which was actually my girlfriend Ghost Saibu's idea to start YouTube at all, because we were really into Markiplier back then. It was like right when he was kind of getting big.
Yeah.
Or like really right when he was getting really big. We were watching.
So like during like FNAF 1 era, or
yes.
Yeah.
But we weren't watching FNAF. We were watching his playthroughs of fucking what's that game? It's a horror game.
You're gonna have to give me more. Amnesia.
Yeah, it was the Amnesia
okay.
games. Yep.
Got it.
Yeah, I think those were his first like really big playthroughs. So we were enjoying that a lot. And Devin was like, "Oh, we can do that. Like, we could totally do that." So we went out and we bought laptops.
Nice.
I got a refurbed Dell, like, it was, oh my God. It was like a 6-year-old laptop, but it was a workstation laptop, right?
Okay, so
I figured
it was built for work.
Yeah.
It was built for editing.
Yeah, but not.
It at one point earlier in its life was built for editing, and then it went through menopause, and then you got it.
Yeah, exactly. And like it cost me like $700, dude. And it was like I got After Effects. I got this pirated version of After Effects, and I remember like I was just trying to do basic video editing on it,
In
cutting
After Effects.
Yeah, cutting Let's Plays in After Effects, and then when it came to exporting it, the computer would just not export. it would get like 2% in, and then say I had 6 hours to wait, and it was just like, oh my god, it was a nightmare, dude. Like I edited on that laptop. I mean, probably I ended up buying Cyber something, which is like the shittiest. I don't even think it exports in like MP4. I was exporting in some ridiculous format. Like my first videos were awful. I didn't know the difference between interlaced and progressive, so I have a couple videos
exporting in like FAP.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Whatever that is.
Yeah,
exporting in FAP.
Yeah, it's a learning process, So
absolutely it is, yeah.
And I was working full time, so I would work from like 3 to 2, sometimes, and then I would come home and I would edit from 3 to 11 a.m. and then sleep until 2 and then skate to work. Like that's what I was doing.
I feel that lifestyle, man. I mean, I did something very similar, except for my work started at 6 a.m. So I was getting up at like 5:30, going to work at 6, getting off at like I think 4 or something like that. Come home, work. And then I was living with Ryan and Grant at the time, so it was like hopefully we weren't having a party that night, or like I didn't have work the next day. Otherwise, it was like, all right, can I get to bed before midnight so I get more than 5 hours of sleep?
Yeah. Like the only thing that kept me going during those days was like cigarettes and coffee, because I could smoke in that old apartment, dude. So I would just sit at that,
just
like
chain smoke.
Yeah, seriously. Like Devin would come over and she'd be like, "What the fuck, man?" Because like I'd have like 3 ashtrays just like overflowed, and like my eyes would be bloodshot as fuck. I'd just be like, "Man, I'm almost done with this Star Fox Zero review. Like it's gonna be the biggest video.
It's gonna be the biggest thing since sliced bread,
dude." Oh my god, I put like 120 hours into that video. It's so goofy now. If you go back and watch it, I don't recommend it, but. Anyway, so yeah, oh god, I used to call myself Microroo.
Yeah, you did.
Yep, it was just like it was this whole thing. But yeah, so anyway, we all started working on True Skull together, and we had good times, we had bad times, and then we started Bonsai Pop, which originally was a 4-person group effort, but it's anime, it's different than video games. We were all going through a lot of stuff, and it ended up with Tyler and I sticking onto that, and Ryan and Grant staying with True Skull, which has been very good for all of us. It was an amicable separation.
Yeah, and we weren't sure how it was going to go, but it's really turned out for the best for everyone, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's much easier to work with just 2 people. It's much easier to pay 2 people, and it's nice, and I guess that's really all I have to say about that. Like it's just nice to keep the friendships and to make work easier for all of us. And Ryan and Grant live together, so they have a much easier time. Like I was just talking to Grant, and he said that working with Ryan has just been a blast lately. So I'm really happy.
That's great. Like that's all you can hope for. And hopefully at some point in the near-ish future, we can do that too,
Yeah.
Where we can live in the same area, if not in the same place, and like work together or in the same room or near the same room or whatever.
Yeah. Devin's been looking at apartments outside of Salem, and they're pretty cheap. Like,
yeah, man.
Our main concern is health insurance, but we don't got to get into fucking health insurance on the podcast. So
hey, the Oregon program is pretty good if you don't make a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say.
And she doesn't make a lot of money, but that's okay because we're working together on everything. But anime. That's what we do professionally right now. It's a ton of fun.
We're professional animers.
Yeah, exactly. Professional weebs.
Professional weeaboomers.
And as of right now, it is 7:30, 2020. Our last video that we put out was on Fist of the North Star, which is like an awesome classic anime, hyper violence, super fun. Speaking of violence, dude, I found this Twitter last night that I didn't know I was missing my entire life. It's called No Context Violence.
I think you followed that. I'm pretty sure I saw that on our Twitter and I was like, I didn't follow this.
I love it. It's so funny. Like I would prefer to see less Looney Tunes and more anime, but when it is anime, it's super funny. But yeah, so I guess now that we have our introductions out of the way, and this is another thing. So on Treeschool, obviously, Tyler and I worked the back end. So we were writers and editors, and we worked full time. A lot of the videos that you might have seen from Treeschool were either something that Tyler wrote or I wrote, or we edited almost all of them at a certain point, like at least a piece of them, because we ended up splitting the editing between all four of us. But this is another good way, because I want Tyler to have a chance to get himself out there as well. So I thought this would be another good way to get Tyler out into the public, because he worked on Treeschool for so long.
This is my moment.
It's your time to shine, dude. And he came up with so many of the jokes that we put in. He was a good reason we got demonetized quite a lot, which if you're getting demonetized, you're doing the right thing. Speaking of which, this podcast will be out on YouTube, probably on its own YouTube channel, and I guarantee every episode will be demonetized. Like, almost we will certainly likely never make money off of this podcast on YouTube. So again, if you really end up loving it, Patreon is there. We're not asking, we're just saying. So what I wanted to start out each and every episode with is just talking about our week, dude. So how has your anime week been?
Man, it's been interesting. I haven't been having that much of an anime week. I mean, I've been watching Mushishi because we're going to do a video on it soon.
Right.
But I can't stop watching Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Dude,
that has been my week, dude. I watch like a few episodes of Mushishi and then I'll be like, all right, it's Avatar time.
All right. That's great though, because we have a main topic for this pod, but I want to hear, this is your first time watching Avatar ever, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm watching it at your recommendation.
Right. Good. Dude, it's so good.
I was just like, you know what? Mike said I should watch this. We'll probably do a video on it eventually, even though it's not technically anime. I'm gonna start watching. I'm gonna see if I like it. And it took about 2 episodes, and I was hooked. And it's just gotten better.
Which is saying something, because the first couple episodes, in my opinion, aren't really that good.
No, they're not. Compared to the rest of the show, they're not. I'm already in season 3.
Nice. It was the last season, right?
It's the last season. So, and I started it like a week ago, you know? So it gives you an idea of how quickly I'm going through this. And this isn't some 10 episodes per season. Like, I think there's 20 or something like that.
First season was a little bit short, and then after that, it's 24 episodes a season, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, so I'm going at it at a pretty fast pace. And it's I can't stop, dude. Toph is amazing. She's my favorite character of all time out of anything. That's not true. Kana is. But
that's fair.
She's a close fucking second, man. I mean, she's great.
Have you gotten to where she levels up her bending yet?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that becomes so it's interesting that the show really started off with Nickelodeon props, right? Where it's hey, here's this goofy bald kid and ha 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 and stupid jokes and stuff, but the show really matures over time, and you get a good look into these very complex characters. And
politics are involved, and it's a whole thing, man. And it's an emotional roller coaster. Zuko is another one of my favorite characters. That dude is rough. He has had a rough life, and it's really interesting how they make the guy who starts as a primary antagonist to be a very, very likable character, and somebody who you really relate to, probably more than everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's funny because I had just rewatched it too before I had told you to rewatch it. I rewatched that, and then we immediately rewatched The Legend of Korra. And I
mean, if you just rewatched it, we should do a video on it soon. Honestly,
yeah. I mean, I'm down. It's just I want you to get through The Legend of Korra before we do that.
It's coming right after. Yeah. Right after this, man. We're going right from one to the other.
And if you guys haven't seen The Legend of Korra yet, and you're sitting at home wondering what to do, if you go on Amazon, you can get a free week subscription to whatever The Legend of Korra is on, and you can just binge it, which is what I did. And it'll be in really good quality because it's on Amazon Prime or whatever. But
nice.
yeah, my second, I mean, I've watched Avatar like 8 times. You know, I was watching it when it was coming out on Nickelodeon back in the day, but this time going through, I felt, because we're old now, I felt so much more attached to Iroh. Like I just
dude, Iroh is my other favorite character. Like it's Toph and Iroh back to back, and I can't choose which one's the best because he has so many redeemable qualities, and he's messed up so much in his past, and I feel like a spiritual connection to the guy. You know,
he's so good. Like it is like, it's funny because I thought that, you know, he might have been played by an Asian guy. He's not. He's played by a white guy. He's played by a white guy doing this accent.
He's got more gruff than an accent, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's funny because sometimes the accent slips between like Latin American and like kind of Asian. It's interesting. I don't know, but yeah, that show. I'm glad that you're liking it. It's nice to see that, like, you know, like a grown-ass adult can watch that show for the first time and really enjoy it. It goes to show what, like, the level of greatness that show has achieved.
Totally, absolutely, and I think that there's a lot that we can talk about with it. Like, I mean, I already told Mike before this podcast, but I was like, I could easily write like a 40-page, or not 40-page, but like a 40-minute video on Avatar. There's so many things that you can talk about between all the different characters.
Yeah.
And also, you're absolutely right that the show matures a lot from the beginning towards the end, and it really reminds me, I was talking to my girlfriend about this, but it really reminds me of Full Metal Alchemist in the way that it matures. You know, yeah. Full Metal Alchemist also feels like kind of goofy and fun at the beginning, and then by the end you're like, oh fuck, this is Hitler shit.
Yeah.
You know, like
very, very much so. Yeah, it's like just thinking about Avatar gives me like the warmest feelings, you know, and I mean, it's everything. It's the character relationships, it's the character growth, it's the world building. The
world building is phenomenal,
amazing.
Like the Earth Kingdom and the Earth City bossing say, and how it's supposed to be like the kingdom of freedom, and then they get there and it's like not that at all, man. Yeah, you know, like.
And it's really good. And all the influences as far as like cultures, like you have the Inuit water tribe, you have the Buddhist nomadic air tribe, you have the very like grounded Chinese empire Earth Kingdom, and then you have the Fire Kingdom, which is kind of like you know, old empirical Japan a little bit. It's very cool, and like it's all done so well and so subtly but obvious at the same time. You know, it's just it's
yeah, no, it calls back to history in so many different ways, while taking those ideas and making them their own. You know, it's super well done, and the show's also very funny. In like a witty way, you know, not in like a kid's way. I mean, there's some kid stuff in there too, for sure. There has to be, but there's like some very witty stuff in there. Like there was a part that I watched recently where they were talking about finding Aang a firebending master, and he had one for a short period of time earlier in the show named Zhang Zhang, I think was his name.
Yeah,
and. So they're talking about Zhang Zhang, like maybe we can find him, and Toph, who wasn't there at the time, was like, who's Zhang Zhang? And I was like, oh, okay, they're going to do exposition about who Zhang Zhang is so that they can remind the audience. And then she's like, if it's important, I guess I'll find out. And then they never talk about him again. And I was like, what an amazing way to subvert the norm of exposition right there.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant, dude.
So
I love it.
I'm really excited to get your opinion on Legend of Korra, because Legend of Korra is a big change.
I'm excited to watch it, honestly. It sounds great.
It's gonna fuck you up. Like
great. I mean, I love stuff that fucks me up, man. Like
yeah, like it took me probably until season 2 of Legend of Korra to really start appreciating it a lot. Like it's the original Avatar is very magical in the way that it's like it seems to take place in this, place very far away and a long time ago, kind of Star Wars-y. And then Legend of Korra things begin to modernize, you know, and it's like very quick. It's like the difference between the Old West and the 1950s, you know? So it's interesting, and I'm excited to see what you think. And I love Korra. Like, I really, really, really like Korra. I like her as a character. I love her story and her journey. And like, if you think the third season of Avatar is adult, the Legend of Korra is much more adult, and not to the point where it's like unhappy, you know, but it's definitely,
but it's nearing that border.
Yeah, well, kind of. It's just like, you know, Korra isn't a kid like Aang. She's young. She's like 17, 18, you know.
Okay.
So she has her own set of problems that she needs to overcome, and she's living in, you know, Aang's shadow. Obviously, she's a new Avatar, so Aang is gone at this point. She was his successor. So you get to meet some, you know, characters that you liked from the previous series. Some of them are gone.
Grown up some more.
Yeah, old, like really old.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting, and it pushed some boundaries, especially at the time. The last episode is kind of a real kick in the nuts to Nickelodeon. It was super funny. So yeah, it's really good. Really fucking good.
Oh, I'm really excited. I mean, I don't remember exactly how many episodes I have left, but like, I'm getting there, you know? We're getting close.
Nice. So, for myself, this week has been kind of exploratory. I found out that City Hunter is on Crunchyroll, so I've been kind of slowly making my way through City Hunter here and there. Like, I really love that anime a lot. I started reading the manga last year, and I got relatively far in it. Only issue with City Hunter is it's pretty episodic. You know, it's like every episode there's a new girl that has a new problem, and Rio tries to fix it. And the funny thing is the way that I actually found City Hunter, because City Hunter, as far as I'm aware, never aired on American television. I really don't think it ever did. I can't think of anywhere that it would have aired.
Like where it would have aired, yeah.
Because it would have either been on Toonami, which it definitely wasn't. Yeah. Maybe Sci-Fi back in the day, but I don't think so at all. And then the other place that it would have played was Adult Swim, and I don't think that.
I don't think it played there. Yeah, I was gonna say Sci-Fi would probably be your best bet. But yeah, I don't remember it.
Yeah, I definitely don't remember ever hearing about it. And the thing is I got all of City Hunter in a box set, sitting back there on the shelf, but I don't think it's legit. especially after watching the Crunchyroll version, which has a very good sub. The one that I have on the shelf, it's like a old plastic VHS box almost.
Hell yeah, dude.
With you open it and it's just like like one of those old, you know, zip CD cases you got back in the day for your car, and it has just those like CD slots in it. And the fucking subtitles are so bad. Like this has to be like some knockoff Chinese version or something like that.
It's like that. Shit. What was the what
Vampire
did we watch
Hunter
together?
D.
Yeah, Vampire Hunter D. That definite bootleg that you got.
Oh my god, dude! It's so hard sometimes to like to know what you're buying online. Like you know, like, because you don't always want to buy direct from like Viz or Shonen Jump or something like that, because the prices
it can be
outrageous.
a lot more expensive. Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes you end up with really wacky shit. Like I remember I bought Why the Hell Are You Here, Teacher, uncensored. And it came in like one of those skinny DVD cases, and I was like, fuck. And then I put it in and it wasn't even uncensored, and the subs were like just as bad, like they were worse than they were on Crunchyroll, and I was just like, man,
that's too bad.
$12 down the drain. And then I bought what was it? I bought Redline on Blu-ray, and it was the fucking European version, so I can't even watch it. So like, you know, and it didn't
sucks.
tell me that it was a Euro version. So like, why are you going to region lock Blu-rays.
Yeah, it makes no sense, especially between Europe and the like. Why?
Yeah.
Why
We
would you
speak
do
English.
that?
Like it doesn't. I don't know. Well, I'm pretty sure the Europe still runs on DC power, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's different than our power. So,
Which again, like, why? Like, why is that still a thing? Like, one of the
why do we still use Fahrenheit when we could be using metric? You know, like
yeah, I guess, but that's just like you don't sell Fahrenheit or metric. You know, like you sell things that adapt to power sources all the time. It would make
Right.
so much more sense if we were all on the same type of power. Like, for instance, Devin and I have been trying to get a kotatsu for the winter coming
dude,
up.
I've been wanting a kotatsu forever.
Yeah. Well, in order to get a real kotatsu that works, you know, like one from Japan that's not going to light your house on fire, you have to get multiple like power converters for it, which are super expensive because Japan also takes different power adapters. So it's like, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but we're digressing pretty bad. So yeah, so I've been watching City Hunter. I started watching No Game No Life. I haven't gotten very far in it.
What do you think so far, though?
So here's exactly what my experience was. I know, like, this was a show, No Game No Life. It's on Netflix. It was recommended to me by Tyler. I turned it on. First thing it says is rated M for nudity, and I was like, yeah. And then it starts, and all of a sudden you get this crotch shot, and then it like goes up to the girl, and she looks like she's like 8,
Like 12?
yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then they definitely have this weird relationship, and you know, they get sucked into this isekai type thing. I like the lore of the isekai world. It seems really neat.
Same.
And it's super strange. It's a very strange anime. I haven't watched enough of it to really formulate an opinion on it. It's gorgeous. You're right about the
I love
backdrops.
the aesthetic.
Yeah, it's
Like, I absolutely love it.
it's really cool. But yeah, I haven't watched enough to get a full opinion on it. I've also been watching Mushishi, which is a very interesting show. I'm finding it very relaxing to watch.
It's super relaxing. It's great to watch before you go to bed. It's not great to watch if you need to stay up.
That's part of the reason I haven't been able to like really put a lot of time.
You watch like one episode and you're like, dude, it's bedtime.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
nap time.
you check your phone and you're like, it's 9:30 in the morning. I got up half an hour ago. Like,
I also what else did I? Oh, Devin and I have been watching BNA, which is the new Trigger anime. It's good. It's interesting. It's very Trigger. If you know what I mean. It's not as It's not as Trigger as Promare. But it's more Trigger than Kill la Kill, I would say.
okay.
So it's like, well, Kill la Kill was wacky, but it wasn't.
It wasn't aesthetically as triggery, I guess, as Promare.
Yeah, like well, the thing is, like, Trigger kind of enjoys being stupid, you know, like, which is fine, and I like their playful sense of humor, but sometimes it can get in the way of a story being really good. And like for me, while I enjoyed Promare, I really enjoyed the spectacle of Promare. It was very stupid. Like, I'm not going to change my opinion on that. That movie was ridiculous. And it
really was.
The exposition dumps were just like, they were huge. So BNA runs the line between Kill la Kill and Promare. It's definitely got the Promare visual style a lot more. But the main girl is, as far from where I'm at, she is a Tanuki Beastman.
Okay.
But she was originally human. So the world is split between like beastmen and humans.
So she's Mario.
Yeah, I guess. But like, so basically, like the humans don't like the beastmen. So if a beastman gets caught, there's like a lot of like.
Sounds like No Game No Life.
It goes into the whole like racial equality thing, very much like Beastars does, I think, and but not in the predatory. Like predator versus herbivore kind of way. It's a human versus non-human kind of thing. So the beastmen live in this city, but there's a lot of like crime and terrorism that happens because of humans and, you know, beastmen who are being paid off by humans. And she's just trying to figure out what happened to her because she was originally human, and then all of a sudden she turned into this like Tanuki beast man. So
she basically Freaky Friday'd
yes
into a whole new type of life.
Yeah,
and now she's got a Sherlock Holmes her way out of it, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. There's even like a wolf detective type Batman kind of guy. Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely a good show. I'm enjoying it. And then that's
good. It's good to see Netflix getting some good anime.
Yeah, I'm happy for them. I'm not happy for Netflix. Netflix can go fuck itself. But I'm happy for people who aren't necessarily huge anime fans to have access to good anime.
Yeah. Because Mike and I have talked about this multiple times, but like Dorohedoro is phenomenal.
So good.
And it's on Netflix, and it probably
will die there.
Okay. Yeah, it'll probably die there, but at least it has the opportunity to get seen by a massive audience, you know?
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know how Netflix does its deals. I'm sure Grant would know more about that because there's been a couple times he's wanted to make a Netflix show. But
why does that not surprise me?
It's because it's Grant. But
yep.
Yeah, like, Netflix does have a certain level of integrity when it comes to anime, like
it seems like it seems like they take more care with anime than they do with some of their other shows that they greenlight.
Yeah, for sure. Or just grab, like they have weird. They grab weird things, like, and even when it comes to anime, they grab weird things. Like you got season 1 and 2, like Inuyasha, for example. They have 2 seasons of Inuyasha. Like 2 seasons of Inuyasha is not going to get you where you need to be.
Right. It's the same thing with Fairy Tail. They have like 2, maybe 3 seasons of Fairy Tail out of like 7, 9. I don't remember.
Hunter
too many.
And the problem with that is what you would naturally think the go-to is from that is that you would start watching Hunter x Hunter, you'd get to the point where Netflix doesn't have any episodes left, and then you go get a subscription to something more legitimate that does anime like Crunchyroll.
Right. And instead you can't find it anywhere.
Yeah. Well, instead what people do is they go and they pirate it off of Kiss Anime. You know what I mean? Because they're already paying for Netflix and they're not ready to pay for Crunchyroll. So what Netflix is actually doing is taking people away from Crunchyroll and sending them to fucking Kiss Anime.
Right. And Hunter x Hunter is even a weirder example because the English dub, which is pretty good for Hunter x Hunter, is on Netflix. And then I think there's some more of it on Crunchyroll, and then it's nowhere unless you pirate it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Or buy the DVDs or something.
Or buy the DVDs or something. Yeah, but it's like the last 100 episodes or something you can't find dubbed. You can find it all subbed everywhere, Yeah. But you can't find it dubbed if you want to watch it dubbed.
And there are people who legitimately do not watch subbed anime. Like I've gotten to the point where, and I think it's just like my personal taste. Like I enjoy the Japanese language so much that I watch everything subbed. I played Ghost of Tsushima subbed. Like I just I played Resident Evil in Japanese. I prefer playing things in Japanese if they're Japanese made. I prefer listening to things in Japanese if they're Japanese made.
I totally get that. There's a lot of shows that that I watched in Japanese, and then if I revisit it later, I'll try the English dub, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, and I think part of it is because I don't speak Japanese, short of like a few sentences, that I don't necessarily understand the inflection or the wildness of the voice acting if it is inflectious or wild. So it seems appropriate to the characters, whereas when I listen to it in English, it's like it just doesn't feel right. I don't know.
I totally get that. This reminds me, I don't know if you saw, but they started releasing the dub of Kaguya-sama.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and I heard that it's atrocious.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That sucks. My cousin was just telling me, my cousin Keith is a fan of the channel, which I think is really sweet. He was telling me that he was really excited for Kaguya-sama to come out in English. So I hope he doesn't hate it.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't hate it too. Yeah, especially like the announcer voice for Kaguya-sama is amazing. Like the narrator.
Yeah.
And apparently the narration for the English dub is completely different.
No. The narrator has a very voice like this. Like, you know. It's
exactly.
Super good. Interesting. What else? It's been a bit of a week. So we did a video on Angel's Egg not too long ago, which is this old semi-forgotten, like, absolute masterpiece that heavily inspired
phenomenally
Dark
good.
Souls.
Like,
yeah, so good. It's so good. But the animator, or at least the artistic visionary behind it, was Yoshitaka Amano, who, if you don't know who that is, he is a Japanese artist that did all of the Final Fantasy art. So all of the concept art for Final Fantasy, every game, it has been done by Yoshitaka Amano. He also does all the artwork for the Vampire Hunter D series, which is like he has a very, very specific particular style that nobody else can match. It's interesting. It's like kind of haunting. It's very beautiful. So after we did that, I wanted to get more into his art, and I've really been enjoying like buying art books and stuff. We are like, one of our plans for the future is to have a little bit of a library. So I've been trying to pick up stuff. I got Akira Toriyama's Dragon Quest illustrations. I have a couple Darkstalkers books, like, you know,
nice.
et cetera,
That's very cool.
Yeah, so I wanted to pick up a book from Amano, and I was looking around, and the one that really caught my eye was the Worlds of Amano, which,
I mean, that sounds promising.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I was really interested in that. And everywhere I looked, it was like $300, $150, like all this stuff, because it wasn't. It was originally published in France, and then translated.
It's probably super limited.
Exactly. So I ended up finding it on eBay for like $40.
Nice.
Yeah. So it came in this week, and yesterday I sat down and read through it, and like, he's done so many other things that I didn't even realize. Like, this guy is in museums all across the world. He has done a bunch of magazine covers for fashion magazines in the early 90s. He like turned.
He did Macross too, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
I'm not sure. I know that he is responsible for Gatchaman.
Okay.
Or G-Force, or I don't remember what they called it in America. There's some bastardized version that exists in America. But no, Macross was the guy from Afro Samurai, right?
Is that right? Maybe I was thinking. Yeah, maybe you're right.
Or no. Macross was the guy from Outlaw Star. That's what it was. Macross,
for some reason I was thinking Vampire Hunter D and Macross had the same artist, but whatever.
They might have had the same animator.
That could be.
So I'm talking about the Vampire Hunter D books.
Right.
So,
yeah. You're talking about the
the actual novels themselves, and like the covers and the illustrations and stuff. So yeah, so the book goes through like all these things. Like he worked with a symphony one time to illustrate a tale of like Arabian love, and like, I guess while the symphony played, his illustrations went up on the screen in the background. It was like this big thing. I don't know. Like, Amano's done a ton of stuff.
Basically telling a story with music and visuals.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, the book goes from like his really early stuff all the way into Vampire Hunter D and Final Fantasy. And it was cool. Like seeing the way that he drew Cloud compared to the way that Cloud ended up being is interesting. I'll have to post some stuff. We should probably link the Instagram in this, because part of the, like, one of the best things that podcasts do is like when they talk about things specifically, they
have a link dump. Yeah.
Well, they put stuff on their Instagram to give context to stuff. So we are at Bonsai_pop on Instagram. So I'll take some pictures of the book and put them up for you guys. And I think that's it. I think that's all I've been watching. I got an ad on Instagram for this show on High Dive called like Golden Time or something like that. It looked like it would be kind of sexy. Wasn't. It was terrible.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was totally misled. I was very upset. And I finished Ghost of Tsushima.
As did I.
So when we were discussing how we wanted to, do this podcast, like the thing that we wanted to talk about most this week was Ghost of Tsushima. So this is going to be, obviously we're going to be talking about anime, but we're going to be talking about video games. We'll probably be talking about modern events, anything that really comes. We just want to have a conversation between two buds.
And you guys too.
Obviously, and you guys too. Yeah. So Ghost of Tsushima came out, last week? The week before?
God, maybe 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks ago? Yeah, less than a month for sure.
Yep. It's by Sucker Punch Games, who are best known for Sly Cooper.
Yep.
And Infamous, which I never played.
Neither have I.
Is Infamous the one where you're like a superhero and you got like good powers and bad powers?
I think you're Infamous. Yeah, no, I think you're Infamous in the game,
right?
But yeah, I believe that's correct.
Okay.
I've never played, so it's kind of hard to remember exactly, but I believe that's right, where you have good and bad powers.
Okay, and like I
don't know plot or anything,
right?
You know?
Right. I remember people liking it. If that's the game, I think there's Infamous and Infamous 2, and if I remember correctly, a lot of people really enjoyed those games, but. It's been like 6 years since Sucker Punch put out a game, and I don't know if you remember E3 either last year or the year before. Gosh.
I think it was 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago?
I think so. I think it was 2 years ago when they released the trailers, or maybe it wasn't trailers, but they released some sort of teaser for Sekiro and Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, so it had to have been 2 years ago.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and Sekiro came out and it was awesome, and we both played that too, and we had a ton of fun with that.
Yeah.
But holy fuck, man, Ghost of Tsushima is one of the best games I've played in a long time.
Yeah, easily. And it's like when they did the teaser announcement at E3, part of it was done by this guy who came out on stage, and it was like this white dude with a flute, like an old Japanese flute. I can't remember what they're called. But like it was such a big deal, right? Because this guy comes out and he plays the flute, and he fucking like rocks that flute, dude. And all of a sudden on Twitter, I remember this so vividly. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, Japanese appropriation! Like he's appropriating Japanese culture!" Like blah. And it turned out that this guy was like a master of this instrument, which apparently is insanely hard to play. And he went to Japan to learn and study and become a master of this instrument. And I believe the same guy worked on the game because the flute is really important to the game.
Yeah, it's a family heirloom.
Yeah. And it was shown then and there that Sucker Punch was taking the time and the effort and the energy to really truly represent Japan respectfully and accurately within their new game that was coming up called Ghost of Tsushima. And I, for the most part, think they did a awesome job.
Totally agree, man. I mean, you can tell the amount of dedication that was put into this game. Yeah. It's palpable, you know?
It, like, so without, and we're not going to spoil it, obviously, but what was your favorite?
Dumbledore dies.
What was your favorite aspect of the game?
That's a really good question, man. I without getting too much into it, I think the internal struggle between the two styles of play would be my favorite aspect, because because the story brought that up, I felt like every single time I chose one way or the other, I was changing how the character was being portrayed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was even curious, because I didn't know. I was like, if I do more of this than that, will it change the story? You know, like I honestly was thinking about these things as I was doing it, and it changed the way I played the game.
Yeah, I felt that too. So I mean, you can go that far as to say, like, basically the main character of the game is a classically trained samurai, but what's happening in the game is Japan is being invaded by the Mongol army. Now, what's really interesting is, so this game takes place around like 1273 AD, I believe. And it's the first Mongol invasion of Japan. So the Mongols invaded Japan twice. And both of the invasions, they totally just like steamrolled Tsushima and its closest island, Iki. So at the time, the Mongol Empire had all of Mongolia, all of Russia, all of northern China, and all of Korea. Like under their control. Like the only
It's a lot of resources, man.
Dude, they were like, it was the biggest empire of history, I believe, the Mongolian Empire at the time. And they had set their sights on Japan for whatever reason. Like, a lot of people believe that it's because there was a lot of gold in Japan, which is true. Like north of the Kanto region, there was a significant amount of gold there. But for whatever reason, the Mongols set their sights on Japan. And they sent people over, and they were like, hey, you know, like, we don't have to go to war. You know, all you got to do is pay tribute to us, and we'll let you be. And the Japanese just didn't know what to do with that. So they didn't do anything. So eventually the Mongols invaded, and the Battle of Tsushima, where the game starts, right? So the game starts, you are riding into battle on a beach as the Mongols are coming onto the beach, and everybody just gets massacred. And that's actually what happened.
It's like 80 samurai versus the Mongol invasion.
Yeah, it was something like 9,000 ships.
Yeah.
So there was
stupidly outnumbered.
Yeah, there was something between 20,000 to 40,000 Mongols on their way to Japan, and the first stop is Tsushima, which Tsushima is 50 kilometers from the Korean coast and 50 kilometers from the island of Iki, which is pretty close to mainland Japan. So, like, apparently on a bright day, if you are on a mountain in Tsushima, you can see Korea and you can see Iki.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so it's not that far, and it's a really good first stop. Apparently the island doesn't have a lot of farmable land, so most of the people who lived on it were hunters and fishermen. And it has some really interesting animals. There's a pit viper that only lives on Tsushima. It's the only place it lives in the entire world.
Weird, man. It's always so strange when you find animals like that.
Yeah.
That only live on like this one island in this one place.
Yeah. And the thing is like, it's like this island off the coast of Asia, and like, how did this snake get there? And why isn't it on the mainland or Iki or anywhere else? It only lives on Tsushima. Tsushima is pretty temperate. The coldest temperature ever recorded was 19 degrees Fahrenheit. And I think the highest temperature ever recorded was like 90 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that.
That's a pretty nice, like, general area to be in, honestly. Like, I could live there just fine.
Yeah. There's mountains.
It's hotter than that right now here.
Yeah. There's a bunch of mountains there. But you know, most of it is kind of what you see in the game. I don't know if it's as gorgeous as the game is, because holy shit, like.
Yeah, I mean, the game is unbelievably beautiful. And then on top of that, they added like one of the most intricate photo modes of any game I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like, and there's also the Kurosawa mode, which is just like, it's so cool because it puts everything in like old school black and white, and then it adds a film grain, and it also tins up the volume. Or like the audio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it changed the volume or the audio too.
It makes the audio sound like you're listening from like an old VHS.
Oh my God, that's so like what a neat thing to do, because the game is unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need, they didn't need to put that in at all, but to give you the option.
Yeah.
Just because.
And especially for, I mean, it's 2020, like unless you are actively going out to watch Kurosawa films, like, your average 19-year-old like gamer bro is not going to have any fucking idea what the hell Kurosawa mode, like what that means, like what that is. But for people who really enjoy classic samurai movies, it was putting on Kurosawa mode during some of the samurai battles was fucking awesome. Like it was just so cool to see that, it was really fun. And for me, like my favorite part about the game was the combat easily. And it's like
combat was phenomenal, honestly.
Good.
Like,
have you seen like the pro videos of people playing, like doing like all this like insane cinematic combat?
No,
it's really cool. Like there are like I've seen people do things that like I never even thought to do. Like for instance, that kick move, like after a certain amount of like skill points in this tree, you get this kick move where you can kind of charge this kick and it'll kick people way into the air. So this dude like kicked this guy, immediately pulls out his bow, goes into concentration mode, and then just keeps popping him in the air with the arrows. And I was like, I never would have thought to do that, but that is genius. And it just looked so cool. Like,
and it just looks amazing. Yeah. That I never thought to do that either. That's awesome. Because this is a game like Mike and I both beat it, and like he fully 100% completed it, right?
I platinumed it. I didn't get all of the crickets, the banners, or the like artifacts.
Right.
But
the
I
stuff
did get
that you
platinum.
can't just, that isn't on the map ever. Like you just have to find them.
Well, after you beat it, you get the wind that will show you where all of those things are. But it's like,
oh really?
Yeah, all of them. But it's like, I just don't care.
That's so much. Yeah, that's so much work.
I'm good.
Yeah, and I didn't platinum it, but I did every single story mission, every single side mission. And like I maxed out my character and everything.
And you liberated the whole island. So
and I liberated the entire island. Yeah. So like I didn't do quite as much collecting as you did, but I did almost the same amount. Like that, and we did it in like a week. We both put in like 60 hours in a week.
Yeah. It was like there were definitely times where I put it down because I had had enough for the day. It's a lot of open world bullshit here and there, like same thing you're going to deal with in any open world game. But like Jim Sterling even said, he was like, the fact that this game gets me excited for bandit camps, like the most typical, standard thing in any open world game, says a lot about how well crafted it was. And what I found interesting, right, is like one of my favorite things was all the sword like decorations that you can get, the sword kits.
All the vanity stuff that you can get, because there's so much of it.
I actually did get all of the vanity items. That was one of the things that I did go out and get. And I actually already had all the pieces, but you need them for an achievement. There's one called like the Cooper family or something like that, where you have to cosplay as Sly Cooper by putting on X amount of certain various cosmetic items, and then making sure they're the right color and stuff. But the funny thing is that there's these sword sheaths that have all this fur on them, which I hadn't seen up until that point, but apparently
I'd never seen that before either. They're really cool.
They're super cool. Like I really like the Tanuki one, and I really like the Moon Bear Paw one. That one was really cool. It's like a black bear hide with a purple handle, and it's super good looking.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about. I wore that one for a good amount.
Me too.
Because purple's my favorite color, and I was like purple and black, and I was wearing. I think there was some gold on that one too.
I'm not entirely sure. There might have been some gold inlay with the purple straps.
Yeah, I think there was, because I was wearing gold armor at that point, and I was like, you like gold and black armor? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put on this purple, gold, and black sword kit, please.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I cosplay as as Kenshin most of the game. Like whenever I could, like you end up getting better armor than the Ronin armor.
Yep.
But the Ronin armor gives you the most attack power. It's like a 30% increase to your attack power or something like that. So
Yeah.
it was really fun. The last duel in the game I played as Kenshin. So you get the Ronin armor, you upgrade it, and then you change it to the red version. There's 2 red versions, but the first red version that you get, and then you just wear the Swordmaster's like regular hat, the tan one, and you look a lot like Kenshin if Kenshin was very Japanese looking and didn't have red hair. And that was a lot of fun for me.
The other thing I loved about that game were, and I wasn't expecting this, but finding the haikus was the haiku areas were some of my favorite parts of the entire game.
Yeah.
The haikus were awesome to build, and it seemed like no matter what I picked, it just flowed so perfectly.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you play in Japanese or did you play in English?
I played in English.
Okay, so I don't know. So this was something that I found interesting, was that in Japanese, the haikus, like I built the haikus the same way. And in the English subtitles, the haikus worked, 575.
Right.
But in Japanese, it was like 8,000 syllables per fucking thing. So I don't know if, like, I imagine that Japanese haikus must be, I've never heard an actual Japanese haiku in Japanese, so I don't know, maybe I'll find one and like insert it right here or something like that. But I wonder if in Japanese haikus aren't 575.
I
don't know either.
That's an interesting question.
Because so many Japanese words are like 30 syllables long. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
It's like, oh, you've said the entire alphabet twice.
Yeah. What was the sword kit that you used the most?
Oh, that I used the most?
Yeah.
I don't know. I switched up a lot, man. Depending on my armor, because I switched my armor constantly.
Same. You kind of have to, like, depending on the situation.
Yeah, I think the armor that I used the most was the Sakai armor.
Okay.
Because I really liked being able to break people's posture quickly.
Yeah.
And I think you got something like 30% increase to posture break with that.
Yeah.
And then I added on like extra posture break with my charms. So I was breaking people's posture in like 2 hits.
That's awesome. So you were just like,
Yeah.
cutting them like butter.
Yeah. I was like cutting people down in like 3 hits, and it was awesome.
Dude. I'm thinking about streaming a lethal mode playthrough. So like lethal mode, basically what it does is it makes you way stronger, but it also makes the enemies way stronger too.
So it's more realistic in that if you get hit,
Yeah.
you're fucked. You know?
Yeah, like if you get hit really bad in a sword duel, like in like one of the more cinematic sword duels, like you're dead. Mm-hmm. Like you're just gonna die.
Man, the dueling system also was one of my favorite parts of the game.
Yeah.
Especially early on, before I got like, I feel like at the end I was sort of a little overpowered in those sword duels. Mm-hmm. Like if you went in with full resolve, you basically weren't gonna lose.
Yeah. Oh, dude, my last duel, I had no resolve.
Same. When I did the straw hats duel, the final one, I had I think 1 resolve going in.
So
hard. I didn't even think about it. And that was rough.
Yeah. I got like, and the other thing too is like the game, because of how cinematic and awesome and like these duels take place in like the most gorgeous areas.
They do. Oh, the flower one, the red flower duel.
Yeah, man.
Was
and
unbelievable.
the one by the waterfall too. Like
unbelievable.
My only issue is that the game was very dark when it was dark. It was insanely dark inside of fucking houses, dude. Like to the point where sometimes I just couldn't see anything. Like it was rough. I was playing in HDR. Actually,
okay.
I was playing on my TV that has the 140 hertz downstairs. Mm-hmm. So that was really nice. Everything was really smooth. But what I didn't realize is that the TV has a game mode. So I because I was noticing like I was having difficulty getting perfect parries, which is something that
I was having a little bit of difficulty with that. I put on one of the charms that you can get that makes it easier, and then it started happening a lot more.
Nice. Yeah, like what I eventually realized is that the game is not Sekiro. So
Yeah.
you're not gonna. It doesn't have that same kind of sword play. But what I also realized is that my TV has a certain amount of input lag.
Right.
And I didn't know that. So when you put on game mode, the input lag significantly decreases. So I did, and you get like a quote unquote worse picture. But when I put it on, I didn't really notice that much of a difference, but it became much easier. Like there was many times that I died and I was like, I was blocking. You know, like I clearly.
No, I
had
totally
that
feel
block
that.
button down.
I never thought about that. I wonder, because my TV's probably not in game mode either. Because I was playing on a 60-inch, HD TV.
Yeah, same.
And like I can't imagine playing this on a screen that's like lower than that's smaller than like 30 inches. You know.
Yeah.
Because it's built for beauty.
Yeah, like the colors are. I mean, I love HDR. Like, even if you weren't using HDR, like this, just like especially the first place with the Golden Forest and like
Yeah, we both had the same feeling about this, where it's like the first two parts of the island, phenomenal, and then the last part was just like, could you stop with the snow?
Yeah, and the vast open space with nothing in it. Like,
yeah,
like after I discovered all of the shrines and the fox dens and the baths and everything like that, and I looked back at the top part of the map, I was like, damn, there really is not much here at all.
Yeah,
Like
the top part of the map, the final third was when I really started to be like, okay, it's time to finish this game.
yeah.
Whereas the first two sections, the first two acts, it took me forever to get to the story portions because I had so many other things I was just doing. And every time I was going somewhere, I'd be like, oh, there's a golden bird. I'm going to follow that thing, which was an excellent idea.
Yeah.
And more games should do that. There are these little golden birds of Tsushima that they'll just fly in front of you and they will lead you to secrets or secret places that are near you, but you haven't discovered them on the map. So you'll be on the road somewhere and a golden bird will come and you'll be like, oh man, is it a bamboo strike? Is it a shrine? Is it a fox den? Is it what is it? I gotta follow it. I can't not follow it, you know? Like,
dude.
Yeah. Is it a vanity item? Is it a hat? Like,
so here's something that fucked me up, right? So tell me if you feel me on this. Do you remember how in every like major settlement there was a bird that would like always fly into the settlement with you and then like sit at the pagoda and you're just like, what the fuck?
Yes.
Did you ever realize that you could climb the pagodas?
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So when I was wrapping up getting all the vanity items, one of the first places the wind took me was to this lighthouse. And I searched that lighthouse for like an hour. And I could not, for the life of me, find this vanity item. I was like, what the fuck? So I finally went online and it was like, you have to climb to the top of the lighthouse, go to the back left corner, look up, jump off, and you'll be able to grapple onto the corner of the top of the roof. And I was like, you've got to be, like, I literally said out loud, this is some bullshit. Right? So I did it and I climbed up to the top. And then the Wind of Vanity took me, and there was like a stick with a headband on it. Mm-hmm. And then the Wind of Vanity took me to the first like temple area with the gift tree. And this bird, the same bird that I had seen the entire fucking game that annoyed the shit out of me.
They kept flying down and it would just fly down in front of like a door that you couldn't open. You'd be like, why do you keep bringing me here?
Yeah.
I had that question so many fucking times.
Yep. So turns out that you just do the same thing at the pagodas, and every single pagoda has a headband on top of it.
No shit.
Yep. And that's where almost every piece of a vanity item that I didn't pick up in the game was.
Makes sense.
Yep. And they're all stupid. Like the headbands.
The headbands are pretty dumb.
I'm going to be honest.
A lot of them.
Not a great reward. Unless you're rocking like a headband kind of style. What was a great reward was the last couple like the items that you get for completing, like doing all of the shrines and the baths and stuff like that, you get a couple masks that are fucking dope. Like,
yeah, you get some very cool masks in the game.
There was one that I got that I would have worn the entire game if I had it, because it was just so cool. And like, I didn't like the masks too much. Like, I liked being able to see my character's face. It's just like, I don't know, it seems kind of counterproductive to me to give you like some of the best looking gear at the end of the game, because you're done, you know, and there's no new game plus.
Yeah, exactly. Which sucks, but also kind of understandable.
I guess. I mean, it would be nice to be able to play through it from beginning to end
with all of the gear that you have. Yeah,
especially considering
that's one
Twitch.
of the things that's rough. Like, I feel like in games in general, it's like, oh, you get all this cool stuff. Hour later, game's over. Fuck.
Yeah. And this is not like Grand Theft Auto, where you can go and cause chaos. It's like, you can keep playing. You're just going to keep beating up Mongols, you know, like that you find on the road. Yeah,
it's just randomly spawned Mongols on the road. Like, there's nothing for you to really do once you've collected everything. There's no more quests or anything to do.
Yeah,
you know?
You can go and grab the rest of the flowers and like get all of the colors of the armor and stuff, but like, that doesn't give you any trophies, you know, so like, you're not like, you might be, and there's no in-game percentage either, you know, it just kind of calculates your whatever, your stats and your, you know, quest log and stuff like that. But there is actually 2 hidden quests, because when I finished the game, the trophy didn't pop. There's like a gold trophy for finishing all the quests in the game. There's nothing on my map, and I was like, what the hell? But I eventually found the hidden quests. It was just stupid. I was like, why would they just not mark these and like make this trophy a pain in the ass? I don't know, it was stupid. But yeah, one of the things that I wanted to tell you was that that's a really interesting fact about the game, is that at that time, katanas didn't exist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that is probably, I mean, besides the fact that the history of the game is semi-fabricated, obviously, because the Mongols went to Japan and pillaged and plundered a little bit. You know, they moved on to Ikki and stuff. But at the time, I don't remember the name of the sword the samurai were using, but it was much more curved and not as sharp as the katana. In fact, the katana was invented, if I am correct, because of the Mongols, because they, like, the samurai swords that they were using before weren't cutting through Mongol boiled leather. So they had to come up with something better than what they were using. Eventually, it took a long time, actually, but the katana eventually became the standard samurai sword. But yeah, at this time,
right? Well, because it was so strong yet flexible, you know,
and sharp as fuck,
and sharp and stupidly sharp.
Yeah,
because they would like temper it over itself like 6 times or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes more. I mean, there's this really good YouTube channel, and I can't remember their name. I'm sorry, but they do like specialty swords. Like they made Kenshin's Sakamoto.
I've totally seen this channel. Yeah. I've seen them like make the master sword before and stuff.
Yeah, like forged or something. I think they're called, like
something like that.
They're dope.
You will, if you look up sword forging, I'm sure they pop up as like one of the first ones.
Yeah. Look up Kenshin's Sakamoto real life, and they made it. And so like one of the dudes there actually knows how to make katanas the traditional way, and there's a couple episodes where he does it like kiln fires the fucking sword. It's like,
that's crazy, man.
So cool. And
I think they found out that like you really only need to temper it over like twice, and then it doesn't get any stronger after that.
Yeah, it's something to do though with the grain or something like that, because like every katana is different because of the formation that it has up along the blade itself. Like there's I I don't know. It has something to do with the oil that you use and the way that you temper it with the oil on there and stuff. It fuses into the metal of the sword. And also, one of the things that the guy did was he made katana steel from scratch as well, which is really interesting. He made like Japanese steel ingots from scratch. So
That's pretty neat.
So dope. Shit, like I love that shit. I go watch that shit all day. That and like kung fu fucking YouTube videos, dude. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of. Oh, so funny thing about the Mongol invasion of Japan.
Yeah.
So like I said, the Mongols invaded twice. Each time they steamrolled Tsushima and Iki, and the first invasion was, exactly like it showed in Ghost of Tsushima. Basically, like there wasn't a lot of samurai on that island,
right.
But there was like 80 of them. They all rode out onto the beach. They put up the stiffest resistance that they could, and they were massacred.
Right.
Very similar thing
Just
happened on Iki.
completely overrun.
Huh?
Just completely overrun.
Yeah, yeah. And the same thing happened on Iki, and then the Mongols got to mainland Japan, and they were attacking. They were doing really well, and part of that is because numbers, and the other part of that was because, this is like one of the major themes in the game is that samurai were very predictable. The Mongols were really smart. They had studied the culture of Japan, and I think part of what they did was they captured, like, 2 Japanese fishermen were sent from Japan to the Mongol court, and the court kept them there and learned about Japan from them. And the samurai's code of honor is so rigid. The idea of walking face first into a battle.
Right. It makes it very easy to counter.
Yeah. Like if you don't adhere to their honor code,
they're screwed.
Yeah, totally. Because
it reminds me heavily of the American Revolution. I was just going to say that the redcoats had a specific way that they fought, and it was in a line going straight forward.
Yep. in these big square groups. Yeah. March, shoot, like, and we were like, all right, well, I guess we're just going to hide in trees,
and then shoot back and not get killed. Like,
yeah, exactly. And like, I've read a couple like Revolutionary War books where like they talked heavily about musket balls, and like muskets were just so unreasonably like they were not accurate.
No, they weren't accurate at all.
Yeah.
You would shoot and then hit somebody behind you.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing that sucked about musket balls is that when they hit, they deformed because they were just lead balls, and when they hit, they would cool down immediately. And when that happened, they would like change shape into like these terrible like spiky things. Like the lead would just like bleh, and then harden because of the coolness of your body, and it's just like those things were a bitch to dig out, which is part of the reason that so many people who got shot lost limbs.
Yep.
But yeah, so the Mongols, they get to the Japanese beaches, they're fighting, and then they retreat back to their ships. They might have been fearing an attack at night. It's this is history from like 1274 1281, so not a lot is said, but what ended up happening is a storm came through and totally wiped out their fleet. Like a third of their fleet just got completely wiped out at sea. And
that's some stupid lucky shit right there. Like,
yeah. And they went packing. And then in 1281, they invaded again and overran Tsushima, even though like defenses had been bolstered quite a bit on Tsushima and Iki, but they still just weren't enough. So the Mongols get to the mainland again. They're having a little bit more of a difficult time because after the invasion, the Japanese put up a much stronger defense around their island. And then, so they're fighting. Another storm comes through and wipes out over 2/3 of the Mongol fleet, which was almost twice as big as it was the first time that they tried to invade.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things about, defending your home base is like, you don't have to worry about that,
Yeah. And the Mongols never tried to attack again. So they called the storms the kamikaze, because kaze means wind, kami, god wind. So that's where the term kamikaze comes from, and it came from the or not tsunamis, but the I don't know
the storms.
The word is escaping my fucking brain. What
Monsoon?
are the monsoon? Yeah, that's what they called the monsoons that took down the Mongols for them, literally. Like, if it wasn't for the monsoons, Japan would have been completely conquered by the Mongols easily.
And probably completely different than it is now.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was really interesting learning about all that stuff. Like, it's just what I do when I fucking, I don't know, play video. Like, Japanese history fascinates the shit out of me. So I'm sure that,
I mean, Japanese history is some of the most fascinating history. You know. Like I would put it right up there with Middle East history is also extremely fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, you can look at the Ottoman Empire and study that shit forever.
Yeah.
Because there's so much happened in that empire, which is, I believe, the longest lasting empire of all time.
Interesting. It's been a long time since I've even thought about the Ottoman Empire. They were the ones
Ottoman
who went
Empire
up against...
was around for World War One.
Really?
Yeah.
They were the ones who went up against Sparta, right?
I would have to look, but that gives you an idea of like how long they were around. Like the Ottoman Empire was in World War One, unless I'm highly mistaken, but I'm pretty sure I'm not.
I kind of remember something about that, and I'm almost 90% sure that the Ottoman Empire was the one who went up and destroyed Sparta, because Ottomans, that was like the Persians, and like it was like that whole area, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Ottoman Empire, I just checked it. The Ottoman Empire was in World War One. They got Russia declared war on them.
Don't piss off Russia.
They were around from the 14th century to the 20th century.
Okay. Wait, so who went up against Sparta?
The Persian Empire.
Persian Empire, and they're not the Ottomans?
Yes. They might be the same area, but not the same empire.
Okay, interesting.
I would have to look. I don't know much about the Persian Empire.
I have
other
so
than
many
Xerxes is a name, you know?
Yeah. Well, don't they not like the Jews?
I mean, which empire did?
Sorry, Tyler.
You know?
Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, this is usually the length of our podcast here.
Yeah, around an hour and a half.
So this has been the first episode of the Bonsai PopCast. I feel much better about this one than
This was great, dude. It was a lot of fun. We stayed on topic. We didn't talk at all about pro wrestling.
That's true. Wait, did we talk about pro wrestling in the first one?
Well, we talked about some type of wrestling.
Dude,
Oh,
we talked about naked grease wrestling.
Something. I don't remember. We didn't talk about it in this one until now.
All right. I mean, I could talk about wrestling.
No. It's okay. That'll be the second one.
Okay. Yeah. So again, I hope that you guys enjoyed this very much. I'm happy that if you're still listening, congratulations. You listened all the way through the first podcast that were put out.
Yeah, and we appreciate it a lot.
Yes. And we're going to make this a weekly thing, and it should be found pretty much anywhere that you can find a podcast. So
as soon as we figure out how to put it up on podcasting sites.
Yeah, it'll be there though. And it will also be on YouTube. We're going to have our own YouTube channel for this specifically. We can't put it on Bonsai Pop itself because it would mess up our analytics and everything, because YouTube's evil. So
yep.
If you are looking for more Bonsai Pop, if this is your first experience with Bonsai Pop, I highly recommend you check out youtube.com/bonsaipop. That is where we put out our work.
Yep.
Look us up on Twitter is at bonsai_pop. Look us up on Instagram. That is at bonsai_pop. And check us out on Twitch at twitch.tv/bonsai_pop.
And the most important place to check us out would be patreon.com/bonsaipop. No underscore there.
Very true.
But yeah, that's the place where it's like, if you want to talk to us, we are in our Discord almost daily, if not daily.
Yeah.
You know, we do editing streams. We do a second podcast that's just for the Discord or just for the Patreon. We do viewing parties for anime movies and anime shows. We do a lot of extra stuff on there.
That's true. And we have other podcasts that we put on there as well.
Yes, which I said.
Oh, did you? Sorry. Whoops. But yes. So next week, we're going to do this again, and it's going to be a different story. So hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully you come back. My name is Mike.
And I'm Tyler.
And this has been a show. Bye, everybody.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.